I've been camping most of my life. Nothing extreme, no survival stuff. Just quiet weekends away from people. This happened about 3 years ago, during a solo trip I didn't tell many people about. I picked a public campground deep in the woods, not completely remote. There was a dirt road leading in, but far enough that you wouldn't see anyone unless you wanted to. When I arrived, the place looked empty. No cars, no tents. No smoke from campfires. That should have been the first red flag. I set up my tent just before sunset. The woods were unusually quiet. No insects. No birds. Just wind brushing against trees. Around midnight, I woke up to footsteps. Not animals. Slow, deliberate steps. They circled my tent once, twice, then stopped directly behind my head. I froze. I couldn't even breathe properly. Then I heard whispering. It wasn't words, more like someone trying not to speak too loudly, like murmuring meant for someone else. I called out, asking if someone needed help. The footsteps backed away instantly. No response. I didn't sleep after that. At dawn, I stepped outside. That's when I saw boot prints around my tent. Multiple sets. And one thing I still can't explain. They stopped inches from my tent wall, as if whoever made them stood there for a long time, just listening. I packed up and left immediately. As I drove out, I passed a weathered sign near the entrance. It read, "Campground closed. Due to repeated incidents. No date. No explanation."
My friend Arjun and I used to go camping almost every month. Nothing extreme, just quiet places where no one else wanted to be. This time we picked a clearing near a forest trail locals warned us about. They didn't explain why. They just told us not to stay after dark. We laughed it off. The first few hours were normal. We talked, ate, let the fire burn low. Around 1 a.m., when the woods had gone completely silent, a voice came from the trees. "Arjun?" He sat straight up. He looked at me and said, "Did you say my name?" I hadn't. A few seconds passed. Then the voice came again, closer. "You're both there, right?" That's when I felt my stomach drop. No one should have known we were there, and no one knew our names. Arjun grabbed his flashlight and aimed it toward the trees. Nothing. But when he turned it off, we heard footsteps on dry leaves. Slow, intentional. Then we saw him, a man standing just inside the tree line. Only his upper body was visible. His face stayed hidden in shadow. He wasn't moving. Arjun yelled, "Who are you?" The man answered calmly, "You weren't supposed to camp here." Then he said something that made my chest tighten. "Arjun, how's your mother doing?" Arjun froze. We had never told anyone that his mother was in the hospital. The man turned around and walked back into the trees. He didn't run. He didn't rush. He just disappeared. We packed up and left before sunrise. When we reported it to the police, the officer listened quietly. Then he said, 7 campers have gone missing in the area over the last 10 years. All of them had sent a final message before disappearing. It said the same thing. Someone here knows who I am. I didn't plan on camping there. I was driving late, trying to make it to a paid campground when my GPS lost signal. By the time I realized I was lost, it was already past midnight. I pulled off onto a dirt road and found a small clearing in the woods. There was an old fire pit and space for a tent. What bothered me was how clean it looked. No trash, no broken branches, no signs of animals. Like someone had just left recently. I told myself I'd sleep a few hours and leave at sunrise. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of a zipper. Not mine. Another tent. Close. I held my breath and listened. I could hear movement, someone shifting their weight, someone coughing quietly. I whispered, "Hello."
The sound stopped instantly. After a long pause, a man's voice answered from the darkness. "Sorry, didn't mean to wake you." His voice sounded tired, normal. I asked how long he'd been there. He replied, "All night." That didn't make sense. I was alone when I arrived. I asked where his tent was. Another pause. Then he said, "Right next to yours." My heart started racing. There was nothing beside my tent. I turned on my flashlight and slowly unzipped the door. The clearing was empty. No tent, no gear, no footprints, just the old fire pit. And something else, fresh ashes. Still warm, I packed into my tent and stayed silent until morning. At sunrise, I packed up fast and drove until I found a ranger station. I told the ranger everything. He listened without interrupting. Then he asked one question. "Did he invite you to sit by the fire?" I said no. The ranger nodded slowly and said, "Good." Before I left, he added, "People who accept the invitation usually don't wake up where they fell asleep." I asked what he meant. He didn't answer. As I drove away, I checked my dash cam. There was audio recorded from 3:12 a.m. I don't remember speaking, but the audio picked up my voice saying, "Yeah, I'll come sit for a minute."